Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Analyst for Digital Transformation and Mobility here at Cognizant, and I want to thank you for joining us today for this segment of the Mobile Expert Interview Series. Today, I want to welcome all of you, and especially our guest, Bob Meads, who's the CEO of IQagents. Thanks for joining us today, Bob.
All right, thank you, Kevin. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from our headquarters in Alpharetta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta.
Very good. What's the weather like in Alpharetta?
A beautiful spring day. We had some rain yesterday. All the pollen's down. It's nice and bright outside.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we have nice 75 degrees here and clear skies in Boise, Idaho. So thank you, Bob, again for joining us from the other side of the country. So this is part of our Mobile Expert Interview Series, so that begs the question, Bob, what makes you a mobile expert?
Well, Kevin, I have had an automation solution provider business for 17 years now, and I've been on the plant floor for 17 years. I've been in pretty much every role, production engineer, supervisor, QA. So I know what makes a plant floor tick, and I know what problems they have. And I see a lot of problems that mobility can solve, and we've effectively done that with our flagship product, IQagent.
Got it. So let's talk about that. IQagent, what is the market you're in, and what is kind of the scope of your solution there?
Well, IQagent really is in any plant floor that has a lot of automation, and we keep a very narrow focus. There's only two problems that we try to solve. The first problem is to give information based on where you're at in the plant or what you're working on, so that you never have to leave the equipment to go get information. And the other one is to improve communication about downtime issues, especially when your technical support people are not on site. So those are the problems that we solve.
How big of problems are those?
How big of a problem? Well, downtime,
Yeah.
production downtime is usually measured in hundreds or thousands of dollars per minute. That's one of the single biggest problems that the plant floors will face. But the other problem, when you have a maintenance person or an engineer at a piece of equipment, anytime they turn their back on that equipment to go get a manual, to go get a form, to go get data from the automation system, you're losing money and you're losing time. So those are very huge problems that can show you ROI if you can solve them from day one.
Oh, it's beautiful. So how do you accomplish that? You have a tablet on the floor and you're in a particular location at a particular machine. How does the system know what machine you're working on?
Right. Well, what we, for IQagent, what we say is we have a mobile device that can recognize equipment. It sees where we're at and pulls up relevant data. And the way that we do that is we use QR codes, and we use what we call the point of interest concept. You know, like on Google, you can type in show hotels near me, and it pops up all these little red icons, and you can mouse over those. Well, we do the same thing, but we can do it with equipment on the plant floor. So we recognize them using the QR codes, and you can also pull it up from a menu system anywhere in the plant.
Got it. So QR codes are basically the signal that I'm in front of a particular piece of machinery.
Yeah, exactly. They look kind of like this. This is a sample that we printed,
Okay.
and you can put it on the equipment and put the human readables on it. We can also use RFID technology as well.
Got it. So you walk up, your iPad launches into, or a Surface or whatever kind. I guess I should ask that question. What kind of tablets are you focused on?
Well, we originally focused on iPad, and iPad 2 was really the first tablet that could run this type of application, because we have some other features that we're going to talk about that, you know, require your accelerometer, require your camera, require the CPU. And everybody fell in love with the iPad, but now the Surface tablets, I got to tell you, are awesome, and they bring the ability to go into other plant systems that you have, so it makes a tablet more useful on the plant floor. So right now we cover both iOS and Microsoft devices.
Got it. So talk to me about those sensors that are included on those tablets, the accelerometers and gyroscopes and everything else there. How are you using the sensor, the iPad or the Surface, those sensor platforms? How are you using that to the benefit of the client?
Well, right now, the biggest thing that we use is the camera, and we use the camera to recognize the QR codes and identify equipment that is in front of us, and then we pop up information relevant to that equipment. We have some ideas about recognizing equipment in other ways, using a dead reckoning system, using say GPS, or using beacons, using Bluetooth technology. So right now, those are the features of the tablets that we're using. One other thing I'd like to mention is with the Microsoft, we have the ability to find devices that are explosion proof, intrinsically safe. You can go into hazardous environments with them, and we're not able to find those on other platforms, and so it gives us an advantage.
Got it. So are you including things like workforce optimization, scheduling, work orders, or are you focused on the actual equipment and providing those two areas, kind of the location-centric information to improve efficiency and to reduce downtime?
Well, what we do is I tell customers we don't bring any new data to the table. What our app does is connect with data that they already have, which gives them more value for the investment they've already made. So we'll connect to their document management system so that when we're standing in front of a pump, we can pull up the schematics. We tie in with their preventative maintenance system so we can populate a trouble report about the winder that they're standing in front of, and they can put in a trouble report. We hook up to their media server. We can show you a movie on how to change the sensor in front of you. And one of the other things that we do is we get into what I call practical augmented reality, where we can actually record their screen with the video of the equipment overlaid with data from the system. You can draw on the screen and point out things that you would like to point out to the technician. And then when all that's done, it's compiled as a video, and you can send it to them so you can show the problem to them remotely.
Got it. So you truly are augmenting the work that the service tech is doing when they're out there, or the maintenance guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So give me some scenarios on where companies or your clients have seen the most value.
The biggest value was a feature that was kind of an afterthought. We started IQagent as being something where you could view the current SCADA or HMI system screens, and we quickly realized that that's not convenient. That's not even new. They can get that somewhere else. We started looking at the tablets and said, these are mobile. Let's make use of that. And so somebody asked me, well, in a perfect world, what would you want? And my idea was, hey, hold the tablet up, and as it passes a piece of equipment, pop up information. And so we focused on getting information, live data out of the system. And then one day I woke up and said, wow, it'd be great to just pull up schematics or something. So let's just go add that in. So we added it in. That's been our number one selling feature, is just access to documents, because it takes so long for somebody to walk away off the floor, go find schematics, and come back. They've lost 30 minutes already.
Got it. So let me just ask you, when you go up there and you scan that QR code, is there a series of default actions that are called for, like it automatically brings up different things about it, or does it just bring up the relevant menu system that you would then select from?
It actually brings up direct relevant information about the equipment you're standing in front of. You don't have to do anything else. So, and the users can define what information comes up based on what equipment you're in front of. So, for a given machine, it might be these data points: how much is produced, how much has been rejected. It may give you an email link to the maintenance supervisor. It may give you a web form to put in a trouble report on this piece of equipment. But we can put QR codes on things that are abstract, like the output of a line or on a warehouse shelf. You can make a POI out of anything that you have data for. If you can characterize it with data or resources, then you can create a POI. It's just a drag and drop interface.
Wow. Have you ever had requests for geofencing related features?
I actually have. I in talks with a couple of companies that do some military and do some field service, oil and gas, where it's kind of like the geolocation ad services. If you're in with this range, here's a coupon. Walk in this store. Well, it's the same thing where they said, okay, if you're in this area, here's some relevant information. Here's the equipment that's here. Here's some guidelines about being in this area. We've had some requests. It hasn't narrowed down to actual deliverables yet, but I think the reception to what I'm doing is growing. We're still very novel. We're still very unique, and people are actually coming to me with use cases that I haven't thought of before.
Got it. So have you had any call to integrate in with connected devices?
We have. There's a lot of new devices out that are low energy Bluetooth, or they're connected to the industrial plant network. And when we talk about the Internet of Things, it's kind of a misnomer, because we're not going to put our sensors out on the internet for the world to see. We're really going to put it on our local network, and we're going to make them nodes on the network, and they're going to give us data. And some of the beacon systems that are out there now, we've been asked to kind of integrate with, where we can show information based on the area we're on and get information about equipment that is communicating with that beacon. And we're just now kind of exploring how we would handle getting data from a device rather than getting data from a data broker.
Got it. So have you had calls for automated processes to be added to that? So if somebody's working on a piece of equipment, it's automatically collecting data, or it's informing others that that piece of machinery is being worked on? Or have you ever had any requests for adding automation to it?
We've had some requests where they want us to insert into the workflow, so that if a preventative maintenance is being performed, then we may change what the workflow is, or kind of reroute some stuff. And usually what I do, though, I keep a very tight focus on what IQagent does, and we provide the information based on where you're at, and we give this augmented reality recording ability. So usually when they come to me requests like that, there's a lot of other plant softwares that can do alert notification and workflow notification. And what I typically do is tie in with what they have, or partner with other people that do that, and then merely let IQagent tie into those systems. Because one thing I found on the plant floor is, if you come in as something that they already have, like if you call IQagent a SCADA view or an HMI, there's going to be a champion somewhere in that plant that made the decision to buy that, and they're going to shoot you in the foot right then. They don't care what you're doing. So I would rather tie into something that they have, or get something off the shelf and tie into that does a job very well, and let us focus on tying that whole thing together.
Got it. So it sounds to me like you're presenting a very powerful dashboard specifically designed for the mobile guy out there working on pieces of equipment.
Oh, that's exactly right. And the litmus test of a great mobile app is, if you put it on a computer, it ceases to be useful. And that's what IQagent is. I think that there's a paradigm shift. I've been on the plant floor for 30 years, and it's always been where we've got a control room, and that's where my SCADA and HMI system are. And if I want that data, I'm going to go up there, or I go to a fixed panel. And 40 years ago, we didn't have to do that. There were dials and gauges and lights. And then when the PLCs came out, we automated that. And so now you walk out to a piece of equipment, you can't tell anything about it. Is it on? Is it running? I don't know. So I think that it's shifting back now. We have everybody's got a mobile device. They got a phone, they got a tablet. Now we're giving them that same information back, but it's all location based. And I think we're going to see more and more apps that are truly mobile, that are on the plant floor, that's giving you that mobility that you need.
Oh, that's fascinating. So, Bob, tell me, where do you see things going over the next 36 months?
I think that the major automation vendors are catching on to this. In the past years, it's always been this mentality where the plant floor is 10 or 15 years behind. I remember when laptops really first came out, and everybody's saying, no, you can't have a laptop out on the plant floor. It's too dangerous. You should be able to move around. And then they were on the plant floor because they were convenient. And then it was wireless networks. Can't have a wireless network. It's not secure. Well, now we have wireless networks. And the new one is every time I go on a plant floor, I pass a sign that says no cameras on the plant floor. And everybody out there's got a camera in their smartphone. And the reason is 20 years ago, if somebody's walking out with a camera on the plant floor, they were up to no good. Now everybody has them. And so I'm seeing that corporations are kind of rethinking these old rules and kind of changing them to fit what they need. So I think the other thing I think is mobility is really a big thing. And the next thing is bring your own device, choose your own device. This is a win-win for a plant floor. IT kind of starts worrying about it, but if you have your employees bringing a device that they bought, that they love, that they want to use, and it's going to make them more productive, how could you go wrong? There are some security concerns that have to be addressed, but that's a great thing. And there are studies that show if you introduce mobile devices into your workflow, and it doesn't take into account the device, it doesn't take into account the workflow, you gain 42 minutes per person per day. You cannot ignore that. It's really a great thing. So I think you're going to see mobility increase. You're going to see people that are writing these mobile applications that break away from this paradigm of a fixed station, and we're going to see an uptake of this technology.
What about wearables, Bob? Have you heard any demand out there on the production floor for any kind of wearables?
I actually have. We have IQagent in quite a few big companies, automotive vendors, chem farm, food and beverage, and they, because they have these mobility initiatives to get mobile devices, they were all really looking at Google Glass. And so when Google Glass kind of came to an end, it kind of put a damper on it. But now we're seeing watches, and we're seeing some other glasses, and we're seeing beacons. And like you mentioned earlier, I have a good friend, a company, Augmented, that has beacons, and they can do management where you can tell where somebody is, they're using glasses, and you can activate certain features of that when they go into an area. So if they go into an area where you don't want the camera on, you can just automatically turn the camera off to those wearables. You can launch an application when they go into a certain place. So you have a lot of control over that. And we're already looking at ways that we can put IQagent, pair it with a watch, put it onto a set of glasses, to give workers that. Because I don't think they're ready tomorrow for that, but I think in the next 18 months, you're really going to see those wearables come in and be useful if they're going to survive.
Great. Well, Bob, I want to thank you so much for sharing all your industrial information and knowledge with a lot of us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to talk with you.